Today, a court has ordered the French state to honour its commitments on climate change. Now, Oxfam was one of the four organisations that brought that case to court. Today, its director said simply, "We've won." Well, let's talk about this story with France 24's Valerie Decamp, who's with me now in the studio. Valerie, tell us about this decision. What exactly is the French state being convicted of here?
So essentially, the state has been found guilty of exceeding its carbon budget. So the country's carbon emissions are not in line with its targets to reduce those emissions. So essentially, you could say that France has polluted more, has emitted more CO2 than it said it would. So today, a French judge has said that France has exceeded its limit by 15 million tons of CO2, ruling that the state will have to repair the damage it has caused, by not respecting its commitments in the fight against global warming. As a reminder, France has committed to reducing greenhouse gas emissions by 40% by 2030 and to become carbon neutral by 2050. Now, the ruling today does not come as a huge surprise. Back in February, the French court found the state guilty of not keeping its promises to tackle greenhouse gas emissions under the Paris Agreement. That was a historic ruling. It's the first time that it's happened in France. So what happened today is basically the continuation of that. It's the end of a long process that began in 2019 when four NGOs, you mentioned it there, including Oxfam and Greenpeace, brought the case forward against the French state. Back then, more than 2 million people had also signed a petition to take the government to court in a case that's been known here in France as l'affaire du siècle, the affair of the century.
What does this actually mean now for the French state?
So what we know now is that the French government is facing a deadline. So the court has ordered the French government to take all the necessary measures to repair the damage that they have caused. So the court, however, did not specify. They need to do that, by the way, before the end of 2022 at the latest. That is the deadline. The court, however, did not specify the specific measures that need to be implemented in order to do that. A judge saying that it's not the court's job to dictate the government's climate policy, but it is the court's job to hold the government accountable when they're not fulfilling their promises. So it remains unclear for now what exactly the French government will do, how they will respond to what happened just today. But it is a highly symbolic ruling, especially for French President Emmanuel Macron. It's a huge blow to him. France, positioning itself as a leader, as a climate leader. And it's also a huge blow for Emmanuel Macron domestically as the country gears up for the presidential election next year. Just now on Tuesday, Emmanuel Macron unveiled a series of measures, a plan of more than 30 billion euros to invest in small nuclear reactors, hydrogen power, electric cars, and so on. So it is clear now that climate change will be at the heart of the presidential race, and this is certainly a huge blow to Emmanuel Macron.
Valerie Decamp, thanks very much indeed. Really interesting analysis for us there.